Would you be the voice for a child who doesn't have one? I'm not doing this for the person I am today. I'm not doing it for the 28-year-old that's on these videos. I'm doing it for this little girl. This little girl who was 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, who didn't have a voice, who couldn't speak up. And if she tried, feared for what may happen to her. I'm doing this for her. Nationwide, 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 13 boys will experience some form of sexual abuse. 34% of those victims are under the age of 12. We'll go back and start at the beginning. 1993 was whenever this little girl was born. You know, within a few years, there was always people in and out of our house. My mother was very social. Around the age of 3, she met her then husband, who would be husband number 5. I couldn't find out the exact date they were married. I'm not sure if it was in Indiana or Kentucky. But in the beginning, he was a charmer. All the monsters usually are in the beginning. Some of my earliest memories, we used to live in a trailer, and it was about a block away from my grandparents' house. And I remember that they would put me in my little radio flyer wagon and just wheel me down to my grandparents' house, and I could pick wildflowers out by the pond and give them to Grandma. And I loved living near my grandparents. Back to the trailer. It's just a small trailer, 2-bedroom. One was my siblings, and then I had the smaller bedroom. My mother and my stepfather at that time usually slept in the living room, on the floor or the couch. And that is when it started. That's eventually he started tucking me into bed. And it started slowly. I feel I was kind of groomed to stay quiet. You know, some touches here and there, inappropriate. You know, having me sit on his lap and, you know, inappropriately. I was never raped whenever I was living in the trailer. It never went that far. Just touching inappropriately, rubbing, things like that. I remember the first time I broke my arm. I've broken it 4 times. But the first time I broke it, me and my sibling were playing Ring Around the Rosie, and we decided to do it one-handed. Don't ask, we did. And my arm broke. And I remember my mom telling him that we were going to go to the hospital. Camera malfunction. We were going to go to the hospital. And he threw a fit. He didn't want me to go. I'm not sure if he thought I would say anything. At the time, you know, it was weird, but, you know, he wasn't actually hurting me. I didn't have any actual pain. So you know, it was weird and it was odd, and, you know, no other male had done that. But I didn't know, you know, that it was wrong. But yeah, I went to the hospital and got a cast on my arm and whatnot. At after that, like shortly, my mom bought her first house, or well, our first house since I've been alive. Anyway, out in the country, and so we moved out there, and I feel like we were a little bit more cut off. Obviously, before we were living very close to my grandparents. They were like right there. When we were living in the trailer, we had a friend that lived right next door. So it was just a little bit different. In that house, I remember in my bedroom, we had this like god awful black and white tiled flooring. It was hideous. And I remember one day, me and my sibling and my mom were outside, and she was mowing the yard. We had a fairly large yard. It was about 3 acres. And she was mowing it on a riding lawnmower. And I needed to go to the bathroom. And I don't know how old I was, maybe 4 or 5. And I was running into the house to try and make it to the bathroom. I didn't make it. We had 2 living rooms. I made it to the first one, and I peed my pants. And my stepfather at the time was like right there, and he seen it, and he was pissed, very, very mad, and told me to go to the bathroom, like just go into the bathroom, and that he'd be in there in a minute. I assumed that he cleaned it up, but that was the day that he took my innocence. I still, like I said, I was very young at the time, so I usually didn't like wash my hair and stuff without assistance, and that was the day that he tore me into. And then he sent me to bed afterwards in that room with a horrible tile floor. I remember my mom came in shortly after I was in bed and asked me what I was doing and why I wasn't coming outside. And he told her that I had made a mess on the floor and that he punished me. And that would explain why I was kind of hobbling around. Because, he was very abusive to us, and she already knew that. We regularly got whipped with belt buckles, even a cow prodder. And by I mean cow prodder, like I will find a picture of it and add it to this video. She asked me, why I couldn't go outside, and he said I'd been punished and that he sent me to bed. And that was the first time. It was by no means the only time. I remember my grandpa came and got me and my sibling once, and we went to a relative's house to stay the night. And we played outside the whole day and got dirty. And so she was giving me a bath, and the soap burned down there. It burned, and she asked what happened. And, I didn't say anything. And so I remember her calling my mom, and I don't know what was mentioned in that conversation. I just know that ointment was put on it, and that was that. Okay, so in that, stepdad number 5, like I said, he wasn't a good man any of the time after a certain point. He was not just abusive to me and my brother, he was abusive to our mom. He regularly beat the living crap out of her. The day that we left, or that she was leaving him, they had been in an argument, fighting about something. I don't remember if it was physical before this point, but she had handed the keys, which are like an old black S10 or something like that. She had given my sibling the keys and had him run out and start the vehicle. She had grabbed my hand and we were trying to get out the door, and he kicked her in the back of the leg with steel toe boot. I remember her going down and me yelling and screaming and, just trying to get out the door. And we did. We made it out. We made it in the car and drove straight to the sheriff's department. And she pressed battery charges. After I started telling my story here recently, first off, my mom claims she didn't know any of the sexual things happened until I confronted her in therapy about it. I thought she knew. I figured she kind of suspected or walked in at some point. But she said she didn't know. And like there were signs, not only that thing with my relative and giving me a bath, but there was this one point where we had this one of her friends living with us, this older man, and he was having issues with his wife, and it was before she met current stepdad, so I was maybe 6. He was very upset one day, very sad, and so I drew him a picture, and it was a picture of a naked woman and a naked man, and I went to give it to him, but she had intercepted it and punished me for drawing such a thing and sent me to my room to bed. But yeah, since this has come out, she may mention that I was only raped once and then she divorced him. So if that was the case, then why wouldn't you press charges against him for raping your daughter and instead only charge battery charges for where he hit you? That little girl deserves a voice. She deserves to be heard. Someone was supposed to protect her. Someone was supposed to be there for her and be the voice for her because she couldn't. I didn't have someone to be my voice. So, the me that I am now is speaking up for the little girl that couldn't. After the battery charge, she filed for divorce a year later. I don't remember him moving back in afterwards. I remember him coming out and getting his stuff. And I remember being terrified whenever they sat me down and told me that he was leaving, because I thought he would kill us. Because he threatened to hurt me and hurt my mom, and he always told me that she wouldn't believe me anyway. So, yeah. But, I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to tell her, and I wanted somebody to understand what I was going through and to do something about it. Whenever I blocked this out for a while afterwards, because, things were better after he was gone. It's different whenever there's not a monster kind of always trying to crawl into your bed. Whenever I was 14, a relative was having a like a wedding anniversary party at a church. And we had this kind of perverted uncle. He's not actually related to me. But we all knew he was kind of, if you know what I mean. Well, he had just shown up, and I was getting up to get me a drink. And, like I said, I was 14. He came up to me, and he grabbed me around the back and pulled me up against him. Flush up against him. And he asked me where my parents were, and I said that, oh, they're over there. They were on the other side of the room. And then he went to kiss me, and I just turned my cheek, and he caught me right here. He was like, I don't know, a lot older, probably like 60s or something. And I started having a panic attack. I went, and I didn't want to make a scene. Because it was supposed to be like a celebration or whatever. So I went and sat down, and my mom could tell something was wrong, and so could my current stepdad, and they asked what was wrong, and I whispered to them what had happened, because I tried to, not show any emotions, but I couldn't. So my mom wanted to stay, and I asked to go and sit out in the vehicle, and she said fine. She gave me the keys, and I went and sat in the truck. Well, like 10 minutes later, my siblings and my mom and stepdad, they came outside. My stepdad was pissed. He was like, no, we are not staying here whenever that just happened. That's not right. We're not making you sit out in the truck after that just happened. So, that kind of felt good. So we went home, and I took like a 2-hour shower. Like, I scrubbed my skin raw. I used all the hot water that was in the hot water heater, and I was red before my mom finally yanked me out of the shower and told me that she knew what I was doing and that it was fine and nothing actually happened. Oh, my stepdad seen me, and he was mad. He's like, I'm gonna go over there. Like, that uncle at the time, he only lived like half a mile away. He's like, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna get on my bike and I'm gonna go beat the shit out of him. And she stopped him. My mom stopped my stepdad from doing anything. So already, I don't have a lot of trust in my mom, but after that, I'm like, I'm never going to tell her. If she really doesn't know what happened to me whenever I was little, I'm never going to tell her. And then, like, everything started rushing back, like, slowly in pieces. Like, these pieces of my childhood that I had blocked out just started coming back. And that's whenever I started having anxiety attacks pretty regularly, even in school. And I didn't know what they were. It's just like I couldn't breathe. I thought I was having a heart attack. Like, I didn't know what was going on. There was one point where I'd had one for 4 hours, and my mom took me to the emergency room because she didn't know what to do. I didn't know what the fuck to do. So, yeah. She says differently. It didn't happen one time. And even if it did, one time's enough. But I'm doing this for every child or every adult who was a child who didn't have a voice, who couldn't speak out. I'm doing it for them because they deserve to be heard. You deserve to be heard. If something happened to you, you deserve to tell your story if you want to. You deserve to have a voice. I deserve to have a voice. If you know someone, or if you suspect some sort of sexual abuse, speak out. Because at least that report was made. Even if they don't find things, at least the report is made. At least someone is attempting to look into it. If you yourself are going through something, you can call 911, or I will post some helplines at the end of this video. I know this was a hard topic. I tried to tell it as best as I could. But I appreciate everybody that's listening. And thank you for letting this little girl's voice be heard. As always, if you want to hear more of my story, or I may actually post some other videos, maybe cooking or something or another, make sure you like and subscribe to my page. Thank you.